Hello, my name is Wes Dawson, and welcome back to another episode of Gabagool, and we are going all out for this week's episode. Now, I sit here in Gabagool Podcast Central 1. It is a bitterly cold day, strong winds. One of those days I question, why exactly do I live in Canada? And then I remember, it's true, I don't have to worry about spiders killing me, snakes killing me, or adolescents with firearms. I'm good to go. So the title of this week's episode, Conspiracy of One. No, this is not some obscure reference to the Offspring's 2000 shark jumping album of the same name, but instead the culmination of research into various topics, from voting issues, social justice, to freedom! So recently, while working in my metal shop, I basically ended up like Bill Hader in 2007's Hot Rod, except I was on much less powerful drugs and a better end result, I suppose, as I had a spring-loaded bar smack me right across the face just above my right eye. Now, did this hurt? Yes. Was it embarrassing? Yes. Was it maybe karma for my dirty, dirty mouth? Quite likely. But ironically, one thing it did manage to do was open up my eyes. I finally started looking at things differently. I finally started to see the truth around us. Now, I headed down a rabbit hole rich with peer-reviewed articles, thoroughly prepared theories and concepts, truly a wealth of knowledge and understanding. Have you ever heard of 4chan? It's great. Anyway, moving on. So this week, we're not only focusing on the heavy hitter conspiracy theories, a term I personally find insulting and derogatory. I prefer inquisitive regurgitation. Instead, we're also going to be touching on some grassroots movements, some smaller scale issues that are affecting our daily lives. Now, I can't quite prove it, but just the other week when we had that nice fresh sticky snow, I saw my elected member of parliament kicking down my snow fort. Now, it may not have been Justin Trudeau himself, but they are an elected Liberal official, so basically, ipso facto, Justin Trudeau broke my snow fort. Another thing we definitely have to touch on is the percentage of kernels in cream corn. Now, big business and the corn syrup industry have a few delicious artificially flavored skeletons in their closet that I am looking forward to exposing. Now, like I said, I don't want to touch too much on what's going on in the news. It's changing constantly. It's an evolving event, an evolving process. But with everything going on in the world and the Ottawa convoy protests, what better time for Gabagool to take an in-depth look at the state of affairs and try and get a fair outside perspective view on what's going on? With our storied and respected history strangely spanning decades before Gabagool was even conceived. I don't know how that's possible, but that is the reputation we sit on. So under my bed, there is a box with some very important documents inside. Now, I'm not talking about that old shoebox with some sticky and outdated pornography. I'm talking about this other box that contains the evidence, the proof, the documentation I need to expose all of these monsters. So I can't name names just yet. You know, old wrinkly Big Brother Biden or little Tyke Trudeau are listening to our every word. And I think the reason a lot of people have rejected the mainstream media and are turning to more credible, more authentic sources such as Gabagool, what have you, is that you cannot trust the media anymore. None of them. Not a single one of them. You know, you can't even observe a few different sources, take a step back and question their motives or influences. Out of the question! These twisted freaks are so perverted, they're so obsessed with lying and keeping the system going, you can't even look at any reports that line up and try to discern, the network biases, propaganda, or any other perversions therein, and try to take an informed decision of your own. No, my friends, that's called socialism. Canada is a free country, and we won't stand for any form of socialized government services. Never have, and we never will. One thing I thought I maybe should touch on is professional gaslighting in the workplace. Now, this is something that's happened once at an employer of mine, and it's happened again. Issues basically where you get these courses that cost up to tens of thousands of dollars to say that everything is fine. It's kind of like a professional, what you talking about? Attaboy, get back to work. It's very strange. People have legitimate concerns, legitimate issues, and the solution is to listen to this hour-long mandatory seminar and basically tell someone who's upset, hey, don't be upset. It's a very expensive version of let me turn that frown upside down. All right, so this week, there was only one person I could turn to, one expert in their field, one person with the credibility to really be accepted by people on both sides of the debate. So, of course, this week's expert panel member is none other than Mac the Wolfhound. Mac, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you? That's great. So, I'm going to throw some topics up to you, and I want to hear your unabridged, uncensored, and just straightforward replies. So, on the agenda, we got COVID health mandates, Joe Biden, Joe Rogan, Justin Trudeau, and the trucker convoy, and go. Wow. Mac, I'm at a loss for words. That was one of the most honest, open, and quite frankly, freedom-laced tirades I or any of our listeners have ever heard. If only more Canadians, or Americans, hell, just human beings. Oh, I meant no offense by that. Could just look at the world with that perspective, I think we'd have a much brighter future ahead of us. Thank you so much, Mac. Well, as we're nearing the end of this week's episode, I want to touch on a serious note. The same message as usual, although it may seem like a cookie cutter shoved in at the end to try and, dilute the salt of my episodes. It's as pertinent as ever. Stay positive, try to do some good in the world, and be a little bit nicer to people. That, unless they're being public douchebags, then fuck, let her rip. But understand, we're all going through shit, and it's been a rough couple years for sure, but we can get through it. And just remember, if you feel your rights are being infringed or the law is being broken, repetition is the key. If I've learned anything over these past few weeks, if you say something long enough and loud enough, apparently it becomes true. Well, before I sign off officially for this week's episode, I wanted to do some just next level pandering. So here's the thing. Gabagool 8 has a wonderful reach around the globe, that is. If you're a new listener, I appreciate it. If you're a long-time listener, even better. But I'd like to say a big thanks to any listeners, a shout out to some of the places that have listened to episodes. Basically, hey, if you're from one of these places that I name and you've listened to an episode or two and you like it, fuck, tell a friend, let them know about it. Give me your address in a private DM, I'll mail you a bunch of stickers. No joke, I'll do it. Otherwise, if you don't like the show, even better, do it as a gags. Tell your friends to listen to it and be like, haha, I just wasted 8 minutes of their lives listening to that shitty podcast. Either way, here's a shout out to California, Georgia, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Virginia, Texas, South Carolina, North Carolina, what the fuck? Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, Alabama, Colorado, Florida, Massachusetts, Kentucky, Minnesota, Tennessee, and the state of Washington. Thank you so much. If you're from those states and if you listen to an episode, I truly do appreciate it. And like I said, spread the word like a virus. Ooh, that's a poor choice of words. Spread it around like melted butter. There we go. In Canada, a big thank you to British Columbia, Ontario, Alberta, Quebec. Hey, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all of the fucking Maritimes. What the hell, guys? And I have family in the Maritimes. Australia, you've been slacking a bit. You had a few regular listens at the beginning of the series, but you've been asleep at the wheel. India, Japan, UK, and if you can't seem to find yourself in any one of those places I just listed, well, I'm sorry, maybe I made a big mistake. Or maybe you need to get your fucking shit together. Either way, this has been Gabagool 8. My name is Wes Dawson. Thank you so much. Please listen, like, share, and subscribe.